Hello and welcome. This session is the sixth in a series of modules that will provide resources and tools for school leaders in preparation for leading in a remote learning environment this school year. Thank you for taking the time to view this module. We hope that you find the learning, resources, and tools helpful. Let's get started. This slide represents the strategic priorities across all of the Department of Education. The professional development training and resources that are being offered align with our educators' priority. And we hope that the resources that we provide offer the support that you need to ensure that teachers, staff, and students are on a path to success. Before we dive in, take a moment to read this quote. The art of communication is the language of leadership. This is a quote by James Humes. I want you to take some time to reflect on this quote and what it might mean for you as you prepare to lead in a remote learning environment. If you are viewing this module as a group, take the time to discuss your reflections. Pause the recording now for time to reflect and discuss. When you are finished, resume the recording and we will proceed. As you spend time in reflection and discussion, you likely thought about the importance of communication and how skilled leaders are thoughtful about communication. Communication is key in a remote learning environment. Keeping teachers, students, and families up to date on critical information and pertinent updates should be a high priority. Please take a moment to read the objectives for this session as they will guide the time that we spend together. Now take a moment to review our agenda for today's session. Let's get ready to dive in. I believe that there is a consensus around the importance of communication. Let's take some time to think about your current practice and use that as a foundation for creating a communication plan that will be effective in a remote learning setting. In a moment, you will pause the recording and download resource number 1. This resource is entitled Communication Reflection. You will see questions identical to the ones shown here with added space to capture your notes. Take some time to think about current communication routines and practice, and then we will come back together and begin your communication plan. Now that you have had the opportunity to reflect on your current communication practices, let's leverage current practices to align to a remote setting. Before we do that, let's cover a couple of key points for communication. Number 1, communicate to all stakeholders in a clear and compelling way that rallies team members to rise to the challenges presented and collectively tackle them. Number 2, provide a clear roadmap for consistently communicating with stakeholders so they feel informed about priorities, specific impact, and expectations for how they can support. In a few moments, you will take the notes from your reflection and use resource number 2, entitled Communication Plan Template, to draft your communication plan. Some of the columns have been pre-populated for you, but feel free to make adjustments based upon your school or district's context. Resource number 3, entitled Overview Document, will further offer guidance as you begin to populate your communication plan template. In a moment, you will pause the recording to work on your communication plan for a remote setting, and make sure that you indicate on your plan how you will communicate the continuous learning plan and its implementation to your stakeholders. Please note, as you are planning, that your plan may have to be altered and adjusted throughout the school year as the implementation of remote learning progresses. Pause the recording now to begin drafting your plan. When you have completed that process, resume the recording and we will close out our time together. Now that you have had the opportunity to construct your plan, there are two additional tools that accompany this module that you might find helpful. Resource number 4 is a communication log that can be used to track communication with families. Additional tabs can be added for additional classes or grades. The final resource in this module is resource number 5, which is a sample communication that can be personalized with your school or district's information. As we close our time together, let's revisit our objectives for this session. We explored resources to inform the creation of communication routines in a remote setting, and you created a plan for communication in a remote setting. Thank you for viewing this module, but more importantly, thank you for all of your hard work in planning and preparation to ensure a path of success for the teachers and students in the state of Tennessee. We hope that you have found these resources to be relevant and useful. Best to you as you start this school year.